Welcome back to KANG News. I'm Charlotte.
And I'm Lizzie. Congratulations to the girls swim and dive team who finished in 7th place at the state championship this past weekend. Plus, a shout out to Brie, who set a school record in the 100 fly.
Congratulations to the girls soccer team who ended their season this past weekend, finishing in the top 8 3A teams in the state tournament.
And congratulations to my awesome co-anchor and the volleyball team who finished their season this past weekend after advancing to the state qualifier tournament. We also want to congratulate the following Kangs who signed letter of intent last week.
Elise Haney, UW for volleyball, Isabella Barstow, Gonzaga for crew, Rosa Smith, University of Idaho for basketball, Kylie Jones, Gonzaga for soccer,
Savannah Wallensack, WSU for soccer, Megan Pearson, University of Portland for tennis, Courtney Cross, California Polytechnic for swimming, and Colton Kennedy, Utah Valley University for baseball. The following LW students are headed to the state for band and choir.
Eric Larson and Maddox Unosik were selected to the 2022 WMEA All-State Concert Band, while Rosa Choi, Aslan Rames, and Mariana Schumann were selected to All-State Chamber Orchestra.
Mara Hempy and Nathra Mahendran were all selected for All-State Choir. Congratulations, everyone!
Staying in the performance realm, tickets for the LW Theater production of Almost Maine go on sale to the public on Monday. Stay tuned for more information as well as interviews with cast members.
The College and Career Center will not have a virtual college visit next Wednesday because it's the day before Thanksgiving.
Now, to other LW news. The security staff has this important reminder to not open any outside doors to classmates. Even if it's your best friend, they have to go through the front office. Resource Officer Gerke explains why it's important to follow this rule.
Hey everyone, just here talking to you guys about the importance of not letting people in the side doors and making sure people go to the main entrance. It's safety reasons for you and for everyone else who attends school here, and just important to not get into the habit of letting people in, even if you might know who they are.
So why is it important to not let anyone in, even if they're your best friend?
Yeah, so even if it's your best friend, you know, you see them, you let them in 5 days a week every day, and then, you know, maybe in a couple weeks you see someone who, you know, you're not sure who they are, but you're just in the habit of letting people in. You're like, oh, they might be a student. You let them in. Well, maybe there's been a number of times. There's a couple times this year, and I know in years in the past with Officer King, there's been times where people just get in the habit of letting people in, and it ends up not being a student. It's a safety issue for everyone here on campus.
And what would you say to the concerns about having an open campus during lunch and how that affects security throughout the day?
Yeah, I mean, so when I know a lot of people choose to leave during lunch hours to get other things off campus, and you know, sometimes people may meet up with friends who aren't students here. They're either a student in another school like Juanita or a Redmond school, or maybe they're not even a student at all, they're an older adult they choose to hang out with. And if they come back to campus and, you know, if it's a side door or main entrance and you know, the front doors are even unlocked and open during lunch hours, it just creates that, you know, safety lapse where people who aren't necessarily students here are getting on campus. And again, that's something that's happened in the past, and we just want to make sure that people are staying safe, choosing to use the main entrance primarily during lunch hours and not letting people in the side doors like this one.
So essentially, we just want students inside the building, and then
yeah, students and staff, no outside people who shouldn't be here, who can, you know, have the potential to compromise safety here on campus.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.
Today we're kicking off a monthly feature called Mental Health Check-In. This month's focus is stress. Here's Drew with Miss Bess, LW's social worker.
Hi, my name is Drew Fiallo, and I'm here with Miss Bess, our school social worker. Miss Bess, what are some common signs of stress?
So some common signs of stress would be, and please do not, like when I say this, think, oh my gosh, I have one of these, I'm obviously stressed. But if you're having trouble sleeping, if you're having really anxious thoughts about like the same thing, if you are feeling yourself withdrawing from friends or family, self-harm can be a sign of stress. And in your body, like if you feel shaky or sweaty, right?
Right.
Your heart's racing, those are some common signs of stress.
And when can stress be a good thing?
So stress can be a good thing if it's pushing you to try harder kind of thing. So like if you have a test coming up and you're feeling stressed about it, that's good because it encourages you to study, right? If you have a meet coming up that you're a little stressed about, it encourages you to practice. And so that can be good because it makes us push ourselves to our full potential, I guess. It can be bad though when it becomes anxiety. And so stress is really about when you're worried about an event or something coming up that is making you feel worried. But normally when that event happens or you take that test or you have that conversation and it's done, then you stop feeling stressed. Anxiety is when it's constant and it's not really changing and it's not really tied to one specific event or scenario.
Right.
Yeah.
And so at what point does that stress become unhealthy?
Right, when it's impacting multiple parts of your life, right? So when it's impacting your friendships and when it's causing you to lose sleep, or if it's causing you to lose your appetite, if it is having you turn to like self-harm or unhealthy coping strategies, that's when it can become scary and unhealthy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so how many of these students have you seen that have been dealing with stress? Because I know that a lot of them have stress, right? And they just don't talk about it. So
yeah, I mean, I currently have around like 20 active students that I'm meeting with. And so I'd say all of them have reported some kind of stress or anxiety, whether that's around grades, something going on at home, they're having a problem with friends, they're having problems with their relationships. Yeah, so it's super common. I think it's like 1 in 3 13 to 18-year-olds are diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. So it's super common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what are a few things that we can do as students to make sure that we're taking care of our own stress?
Yeah, so self-care, which is like a cool buzzword these days, but super important. So finding out things that make you feel better and kind of take your mind off that stress. So playing video games, binge watching Netflix, going on a walk, drinking water, listening to music, drawing. I have so many students that are super artistically not challenged, that's what I am, gifted, right? Like doing yoga, like there's so many things, doing a face mask, talking to a friend, talking to someone that you can trust and who can be there for you. I have a lot of students that are like afraid of burdening their friends, and to that I'm say, you know, if they're your friends, then they want to carry that for you, and then they're going to go through hard times too, where they're going to need you, and kind of we all go through those seasons where we just need people that we can lean on. So, yeah, just really being mindful of what you need and what would make you feel better. And so just having a few of these in your back pocket of, oh, I'm super stressed, I'm going to go take a walk, and just like leave my phone, you know, or whatever it might be.
For sure. Yeah. Thanks so much for sitting down with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
One way to take a stress break is by visiting the Restoration Room. It's located in the library and is a quiet space to relax for 10 minutes. Just talk to your teacher if you want to visit the Restoration Room.
Seniors, the deadline to submit your senior portraits and baby ads is December 5th. Find more information on the LWHS website under Yearbook or under Seniors. Also, if you forgot to submit your own photos of you, your friends, and your modes of transportation for KANG cruisers back in October, Ms. Kreutz will accept them. And for everyone, if you dressed up for Halloween and want to share or showcase your costume, Yearbooks wants your photos. Email your photos to Ms. Kreutz at hkreutz@lwsd.org.
Next week, Civics Club will be releasing a survey during homeroom to complete questions you have about classes you want to take next year. The survey only has 2 questions, so please fill it out. Civics Clubs will use this information to provide a more detailed explanation of classes to students who may be confused by the current course catalog. The Green Team is holding a Save the Orcas collaboration with the organization Campaign with Environment Washington on how to help fix environmental problems in Washington and how to write letters to our elected officials to make change. The team meeting is in Mr. Verbanik's classroom on Thursday, November 18th after school.
The Indian American Student Association hosted a Diwali celebration last week with traditional food and history of this Festival of Lights, which is one of the major festivals celebrated by Hindus, Jains, Sikhs, and some Buddhists. Among the attendees were members of the Multicultural Club, who are compiling a list of holidays celebrated by our diverse student body. Email your holiday information to Multicultural Club President Mena or Advisor Ms. Mahoney. Here are a few clubs accepting new members. Poetry Club meets Mondays at 3 in room 271. Mr. Terich is the advisor.
The Diversity Action Team meets Wednesdays at 1 p.m. in room 167. Ms. Fradkin is the advisor, and everyone is welcome.
Robotics Club meets Thursdays after school on the first floor of the North Building. Mr. Cadden is the advisor, and beginners are welcome.
Quiz Bowl meets Fridays from 3 to 4 in the second floor pod in the North Building. The advisor is Miss Douglas, and everyone is welcome.
The Alpine Sports Club meets Tuesdays after school in room 248. Miss Yen is the advisor, and beginners are welcome.
Art Club meets Thursdays from 3 to 3:45 in room 332. Miss Ansari and Miss Slater are the advisors, and everyone is welcome.
Into the Filmverse is the filmmaking club that meets Fridays from 3 to 4 in room 330. Miss Ring is the advisor, and beginners are welcome. That's it for KANG News this week. Thanks for watching. I'm Charlotte.
And I'm Lizzie. Have a great weekend, and go KANGs!
Morning, KANGs. Today we're going to do a brief presentation on Native American History Month, which is the month of November. This presentation is going to build on the one we did last year, which gave a basis and understanding of our local tribes here in the Pacific Northwest. Today's presentation is going to focus on Indigenous peoples now, contributions being made to our society and community, politics, arts, of tribes, both local and across the country.
Before we honor some of the contributions of Native Americans, we would like to honor the Coast Salish tribes, specifically the Duwamish, who have cared for this land since time immemorial. The Tabtabiok people made their homes in what is now Kirkland, Washington. Although Duwamish Chief Seattle signed the Treaty of Point Elliott in 1855, allowing settlement in the area, the tribe is not federally recognized today.
Native American Heritage Day on November 26th is the perfect opportunity to honor Indigenous accomplishments and contributions to art, science, literature, politics, and so many other facets of modern society. It is the chance to celebrate and reflect Indigenous successes rather than to emphasize the gory past, however unfortunate the circumstances may have been. And though the official Heritage Day has only been around since 1990 and the month since only 2009, this cause for reflection has been proposed by the Boy Scouts since 1914. And even if it took far too long to give Native Americans the acknowledgement and celebration they deserved, this holiday is important, and it is important that we recognize it.
Today there are 29 federally recognized tribes and 3 federally unrecognized tribes in Washington state. When a tribe is federally recognized, it has a government-to-government relationship with the United States and is eligible for funding and services from the U.S. Bureau of Indian Affairs. Each tribal nation is different. Some reservations are just a few acres in size, while others span more than 1 million acres. In addition, population and government support varies as well. More reservations are found along rivers, the Puget Sound or Washington coast. This is because water provides a means of transportation and resources. There are only 4 tribes in eastern Washington, all relying on rivers. Due to geography and lack of U.S. government support, reservations are often isolated from economic, education, and health centers, causing high unemployment and poverty rates. Today, tribal leaders are making progress improving people's lives, protecting the environment and sustaining natural resources, building up communities that benefit everyone, and preserving their culture.
Orange, the author of There, is a citizen of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes of Oklahoma. His novel, There, illustrates the story of 12 urban Native Americans living in Oakland, California. This book is a collection of several essays on Native American history and identity. Rebecca Rowan Horse, the author of the 6 World series and Between the Earth and Sky series, received a Nebula and Hugo Award for her work. The series follows the main protagonist, Maggie, who is a monster hunter in a dystopian future as she tries to navigate the world around her.
John Quick-to-See Smith is a member of the Confederate Salish and Kootenai Nations in Montana. She uses imagery from commercial signs, slogans, art history, and personal perspectives in her art. Carver Romero is a Chima-Wavy photographer who uses photography to view Indigenous life through a contemporary perspective.
Today, we'll be talking about some modern First Peoples artists who incorporate traditional Coast Salish design into their work. Our first artist is Margaret August, a Two-Spirit member of the Seashell Nation who works in a multitude of mediums including glass, sand-blasted cedar, and serigraph/Gilsley prints. Their work is inspired by nature and traditional teachings. They incorporate traditional shapes and symbols of Coast Salish art into their work along with their own identity. Luke Martin is our second artist. He is a member of the Untitled First Nation, and she creates carved sculptures inspired by the mythology and history of the Coast Salish peoples. Andrea Wilbersigo is our third artist, and she is a member of the Squamish tribe. Coming from a long line of Coast Salish carvers, she was the first woman in her family to take on this art form. She teaches future generations these carving skills in addition to practicing them herself as an artist, instilling the importance of the craft. She also works with beads to create traditionally beaded jewelry.
Deb Holland is a member of New Mexico's Laguna Pueblo and became the first Indigenous American to serve as a cabinet secretary. She grew up in a military family with her father serving in the Marines and her mother in the Navy. She struggled raising her daughter as a single mother, but still managed to complete law school. Prior to her role as Interior Secretary, she served in Congress. And in Congress, she focused on environmental justice, climate change, missing and murdered Indigenous women, and family-friendly policies. Jaslyn Charger is a 24-year-old Indigenous environmental protector and activist from the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. She's the co-founder of the International Indigenous Youth Council, the One Mind Movement, and Seventh Defenders, which is a grassroots group that serves disadvantaged youth and young adults on the Cheyenne River Reservation. Also, Jaslyn organized an anti-pipeline water run to protest the Dakota Access Pipeline. She's done a multitude of amazing things at such a young age and definitely has a bright future ahead of her.
As for Indigenous contributions in the STEM profession, we have a few examples here, such as Matthew Yazzie, who is at the top. He is an Indigenous rights advocate that studied in organizational and behavioral science and is a strategic director with Collective. He's also an associate with the Navajo Nation. Danielle Forward, who is at the right, is associated with the Pomo tribe. She is a product designer at Facebook working for the emerging market section and is also a founder of Natives Rising, made in order to highlight Native Americans in tech, which is what we are all about. Lastly, Jessica Sky Paul, who is at the bottom, is a global mobility leader at Facebook and is associated with the Lakota Sioux and Nez Perce tribes. These people are just a few examples of how Native Americans have contributed to the STEM area and how they just have contributed in general. To sum it all up, it is our job as the next generation of citizens to be respectful and informed. We must do our research on the grim past in order to prevent such a suppression as that of Native Americans from ever happening again. We hold the key to a future in which the average person can fondly recall the Chinook or the Chumash and realize the tribe's relevance in the present day. We must be the ones to spread awareness and shed light on Indigenous influence. We hold the power of social media, the spoken word, and the making of history. So, to help ensure the protection and support of Native American students, parents, teachers, and friends of Indigenous tradition, art, literature, and life as we know it, we must utilize this November to evaluate what kind of difference we seek to make. Thank you for listening, and as always, continue to be the kind and respectful individuals I know you to be.